Hello and welcome back to the Road to Rosslyn Park in sponsorship with Socks and powered by Socks and Socks TV. I'm Russ McCluskey. He's Phil Greenaway. Phil, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, my man. I'm very good. It's been a good week. Good to see the seventh season up and running. And yeah, mate, it's been class, hasn't it? And listen, I know we always moan about the rain. Well, I do anyway, because I'm out in it quite a lot. But it doesn't seem to have stopped the sevens really. It's been cracking on, and good to see Seaford get another win, following up their winning the tens tournament. So listen, they've set themselves out there as the early runners, haven't they? Early pace setters as we head towards Rosslyn Park.
Mate, they definitely have. And I had Sean Thompson on the phone, our guest from last week, and I had him on the phone yesterday lunchtime. I just thought I'd flick him a little message and say, hey, come on, you're going to have a target on your back. But they won the Sussex Sevens down at Hurstpier Point, beating St John's, Leatherhead in the final. But another W from the boys from Seaford after winning their own Seaford tens. And he said the conditions were just grim. It was tough. Judging by some of the clips and some of the photos from social media, my mud, it was unbelievable, absolute mud bath. I think I would have enjoyed it somewhat. It would have played to my style, but less of our chat. We have got a guest. We have got a Rosslyn Park under-18 cup winner, nonetheless, from 2022. I've called in a favour, somebody I've known since he was probably 7, 8 years old, bless him. But we've got Murdoch Lock, who won the whole kit and caboodle, and I remember being there on the Friday for Wellington College. Murdoch, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good. How are you guys doing? Yeah, very happy to be here and looking forward to chat about Rosslyn. Also got some very fond memories about it. It was back in 2022 now, so nearly 4 years ago. Makes me feel quite old, but yeah, as I said, one of the best competition I think in schoolboys. So looking forward to chat about it.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you coming on, mate, and making the time for us. And as I said, I've known you a long time, having taught you a little bit when you were at prep school a long time ago, and obviously know your mum and dad really well. And we'd finished at King's on the Friday at lunchtime, so you'd got through day one on the
Yeah,
Thursday. You got out quite a difficult group. We'll talk about that in a sec.
yeah.
And I think your dad texted me and he said, look, are you coming down? And I walked through Wimbledon Common Golf Course, and I navigated my way down, and I got down in time to start watching the day two play because we had the half day breaking up for Easter. And mate, just what took place that Friday was immense. And I really did feel like I was on the journey with you. I was in my King's
Yeah,
kit,
yeah,
but I really felt like I was on the journey on that Friday. How good was
yeah.
it?
Yeah, it was quality, and we never thought we'd win that. I mean, we went through the season, well, only one loss, and that was to Brighton in the, I think it's called the Richmond Sevens now. So that was only our one loss in the final then, and we felt confident. When we saw the likes like Millfield and Sedbergh, and we really believed they were the favourites. But we quietly did our business, went through our group, and then I think we had Whitgift and I want to say Bishop's Wands in like they have like a quarterfinals group. Whitgift, we went off to the start of the morning on the Friday, and it didn't go well. We were down. I think it could have even been about 21-0 at half time, and we all looked at each other and we were like, lads, this is literally our last hurrah of 7 minutes of wearing this jersey together. And we kind of pulled it together and came back and won it through grit. I think literally by a try. So and then yeah, Bishop's Wands. We came into Bishop's Wands, and you know what they're like. I think they're still London Irish Ace or some reference to an academy there. We went into that game and they're very big, physical. Wouldn't say a seven side, but very hard because there was a lot of just up fronting ball carriers in that team. So we stuck to our guns. Everyone knew their roles and rotated well, and luckily came out that game all good. And then yeah, and then I think came on to the semis, and the semis is one game, isn't it? And we had Ipswich, of which is Upper Rising School now, and I know they've done really well. I think Jordan Turner Hall led that department back in the day. I'm not sure who's there now. I think Matt Searle's there actually now. Actually, he was doing a really good job. And yeah, so we went into that game, and we had the whole of Cranley school coming down to watch us. I think they were kind of supporting us. We knew a few people in that school, mates wise. Ended up winning that game, and you know what it's like. Comes to the final, and we remember it every second. We were blowing. We went back all the way down to I think it was RE5, right down by the hedges, and we had to sit down in our gazebo, took the last bit of sweets out our sports bag, had a bit of a energy drink, bit of a Lucozade, and we were like, lads, we've got to come here because we saw Milford were very tired. They had a hard semi-final. I think it was I want to say versus Clifton or Sedbergh. I can't actually remember now. And they had it hard. We saw they were down. We said, lads, if we come back up, we got 40 minutes to play here. Like this is literally our last hurrah. We're never going to play as this side ever again. It's our last time playing ever for Wellington College. And we had a lot of old boys there, a lot of our mates there, a lot of family, and we were like, we've got to do this. We went into it, walked on the pitch, felt confident, and we had a shocker of a start, 14-0 down. And again, we looked at each other and we were like, we've got to do something about this. And yeah, we said, look, follow your roles. We've had all season, we've each had our roles. There's been no star players in this team. We've had our roles. And what we did was everyone had their roles. For example, I was all about the restart. I was up there. My job was just try to get that ball back. And we said, if we can win restart, we'll win the game. We had Sammy D, a phenomenal player. I say no star players. He was a star player for that day, I would say. He led it. He was a connecting man. We had the likes of Starmer Smith. Starms was the man in between, playing everything, putting people into place. We had our speed wingers, George Stabley, Solly, to mention a few. Lloydie, he was just one of those engines in the team. And we're like, lads, let's just go back to the basics. And we did that. Few moments of magic, don't get me wrong, from a few of the boys, like Sammy D. But yeah, it came up 14-0 at half time, luckily to Rory Taylor's unbelievable conversion slotting. And then, yeah, we came into that half time. We're like, lads, we got them here. And then fortunate events, we had a lad called George Timmins. He basically, from Milford, he basically competed in the air with Ben Frampton, and he basically had a not high tackle, but as in competed in the air, and he got a yellow card, and we were like, this is our advantage here, we've got to take it. And we basically used that as momentum, and that's when the game flipped, really. And then we ended up winning the game 35-19, and I'd say that's kind of the story of how we won that day. Was just through pure grit, hardness, and just I'd say our fitness really won us that day. We put a lot of hard yards in on the big side pitches down in Wellington in January when no one was watching, and I really believe that's what won us that tournament, because we weren't there to say, oh yeah, look at me, I'm this big name, or I'm this person who's going to go on to do good things in our rugby careers, because we all knew everyone could do that, but we all knew that that's not going to happen on that day. We just need to come together and do our jobs, and we did that. And I remember this day like so fondly, and every year I'm so excited. Like my little cousin, he's at Brighton, he's playing for under-16s this year, and he's like, I just want to win it. And he said all the talk about throughout the year wasn't really about much 15, it was all just want to run Rosslyn. And yeah, I mean, all the boys, they'll come down this year again, and I know Wellington have a tent up, and even though we don't know many of the boys now playing, you're all part of one club, one story, one history. So you always want your team to win. So yeah, that's when my day. But yeah, I could go on. There was a night out after as well, which probably shouldn't be told now. But yeah, I mean, that was a story we knew everywhere that day. Everyone knows where they were, and as I said, no one's going to forget it. Will Greenwood said he was involved that day, and Carl McDonald, Sam Knights, they all said you're never going to forget this day. And you kind of take it as a pinch of salt when you're that young, but yeah, guarantee none of those lads, wherever they are these days, and we all keep in contact, see each other here and there, whether they're doing with that uni or in a full-time job now, I know they're never going to forget that day. And yeah, we'll talk about it for a long time over a few beers, I'm sure.
Murdoch, listen, what a fascinating story, and what a great thing for you to have all achieved together, as you mentioned. There's quite a lot that you've given us to unpick there, so I'm sure Russ has got some questions potentially on the tactical and that side of things. But I just want to unpick, how tough it is on the body. I think everybody says, our sevens is a tough game, etc., etc. But it is, but also it's over 2 days, isn't it, to win that cup final? It's getting to day 2 is your first goal, winning your first game, for example, and getting through. But talk to me about a little bit about some of the recovery strategies and what it's like to go from the highs of winning your first group game to then having to come back down to earth, get your fuel on board, stretch, recover, make sure that nobody's injured. Talk us through that process and how important that is to making sure that everybody is not only physically right, but then mentally right between games and then on to day 2 and each little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because I think it's starting to get more talked about within the school game now. But again, there needs to be a lot of investment and time into that. So yeah, I think as well, coming from a school, this isn't trying to sound like different, but coming from a school like Wellington, it's quite a big name in the rugby world and the rugby sevens world. So I think again, there's straight away like a badge on it. A lot of people just, oh yeah, we want to beat you every time. So I think there was that. We played Clifton that first game, and we were like, oh, we had, I think it was Eton in our group, who weren't very strong that year, and we were very complacent, and no one really did much recovery within that first period, because they're like, oh, it's fine, we're young. We had a little walk around, chat to our friends, and we rocked up to the Eton game, and we were shell shocked. We were like, we aren't going to walk by here. And then from now on, then on, we straight away went back. We did some recovery, did a lot of stretching, we did a lot of foam rollers, a few massage guns, a few ice around the around the ankles and the thighs to get them refreshed again. And yeah, it was good. When we were chatting to our physio called Adam Eustace, who's still there today. I wanted to shout out one of the best physios I think I've ever had or will ever have. And he was there. He was helping the boys, a few massages, giving us some tips of how to get loose again and not get too tight. But yeah, it was a food aspect as well because as a young kid there at 18, you have a lot of schools down there, and it's a social thing as well, right? I think this big sevens thing, which everyone forgets, is a social thing. You have some kids out there who are having a good time, and some kids are like, "Oh, actually, does this mean much to me?" And you really got to buy into what you're going to achieve, and ignore the outside world, which I think you should take into everyday life. And yeah, so I think to answer that question really in short, I would say with the recovery, I think that's actually more important than the actual games because after that day one, we were all very, very tired. The pitch was very hard. We were lucky that day. It was a very sunny afternoon. Like some people were in vests walking around between the games. But yeah, it's hard and I'd say this the stretching, going home, sitting in an ice bath or having some Epsom salt in a bath and just refreshing. Because it's easy to go home that night and just sit on the couch and think, oh yeah, I'm 18 years old. I'm not going to get sore. But I tell you what, from past experience, you feel very sore and you're not really roaring to go the next day. It does take like a big hit the next day to feel roaring to go. And one bit of advice I would say if I could do anything better back then is recovery, like get in a sauna, get to your local sauna, get in an ice bath. Like I think it's about £50 I bought an ice bath in my garden for. Just get in the ice bath and that 15 minutes in the ice bath will do so much to increase that blood flow for your legs or sit on the watt bike, sit on the Peloton, go for a cycle around Richmond Park. And it's that active recovery will get you better. It's not just lying down on the couch. Lying down on the couch or sitting around in the evening between those days, that's not going to do much. So it's the active recovery. What can you do to increase your blood flow to stop the stiffness? It doesn't matter about after because you've done it, you've won, you need to enjoy yourself. But it's between those games you need to have that recovery in. And yeah, I think there's not, as I said earlier, there needs to be more of an emphasis on it because you can look at recovery and say, oh yeah, I'll just sit in a bath and do that. But are you doing the stretching? Are you using you going to the gym and getting on that walk back as I said, or are you getting that natural food in? Are you not just going home and having loads of sweets and thinking that's recovery? Are you getting your carbs in? Are you getting your protein in to actually fully recover that day? Which I think is not actually that talked about in schoolboy rugby, which I think there's a in sevens and union, I think there needs to be a big emphasis on that now, because you see some injuries coming out and in this in sevens and union, which comes apart with every sport, and you sometimes think, could that be like not happened if there was some sort of recovery process in there? So yeah, it's a great thing, and I think for advice for young kids these days going to Roslyn this year, 16s, 18s, 14s, just make sure you actually look after your body. You're not walking around the whole time. You're in that gazebo, stretching out, just resting your legs, putting your legs up. But yeah, it's little things like that I would say is huge, really.
I'm going to take you back to day two, and the game that stands out in my mind, and you've already referenced it, was the Whitgift game, and you were
Yes.
done. You were out. You were out of the competition. I remember looking at your mum, and your mum was like, "Oh, it's done. This is it. Bus fare
Yeah.
home. It's early bath time."
Yeah.
And like you say, and I think you were 21-0 down. It was mad, wasn't it? And Whitgift, as most people listening to this will know, very, very good school rugby program.
Mm,
The sevens is excellent there as well, and they had
mm,
some serious players. You spoke a little bit about half time and talking to each other and saying, look, we've got literally 7 minutes left together in these shirts.
mm,
There's got to be a bit more than that. The defence in that game particularly was immense, and then a couple of breakaway tries.
mm.
Did you build your championship title around defence? Was that a big focus for you?
Yeah, I would say it was defense for sure. I think a lot of people think that, oh yeah, in sevens you can no matter how many they score, I can score more than you. But I think we almost that Whitgift that last 7 minutes in that group stage semi final in that quarter final stage was I think we won that as I said in January because I think what we built in that team was like such a good friendship and we were doing so much outside college times and we were actually getting to know a lot of people in that team we didn't know that well and I really thought that sevens is a big thing. Can how far can you push your body to play for your man on the opposite you? Are you gonna let the man come inside you and not have a big shot? Are you gonna get through that ruck? And we had that mindset in defence where we were very hungry to get that ball back. We weren't just very passive. We were hungry. Can one man make a shot? Can one man get over and jackal the ball? We had that mindset, and I think some teams were very passive in defence. They were like, oh yeah, we'll let them have the ball and they'll make an error. But we were like, let's force the error. If you force the error in sevens, you automatically get the ball back, then you keep the ball. Whereas we were a team where we forced them to have a turnover. We really put pressure on them, high and D. We all came round. We had a sweeper in behind, and we were locked in then. And as I said, I think that came from the coaching as well. And what we said, if you're blown out in D, like make that substitution. Don't feel embarrassed to come off. So I think there's sometimes you have that ego when you're 18. You're very egotistical and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm better than that person on the bench. No, you're not. It's a team thing in sevens. I genuinely believe it's a 12-man team. Even if you only get on for 2 minutes, you've done your job. And yeah, it came from defense really, I would say, and having that connectiveness in D, and as I said, forcing that turnover really. But yeah, again, that comes down to I'd say our coaches Sam Knights and Mr. McDonald. They put in some Mr. Knight, sorry, and Mr. McDonald. Probably should call them still. But yeah, that comes from that really. So yeah, I would say D kind of won us that tournament and that never die attitude. We always had that. That was always like never give in. Like no matter what you're going through, I guarantee the person next to you is probably going through a harder time. And yeah, I think at 18 that comes from a thing as well. You get your A levels coming up as well. It's literally a month after really. And so you have a lot of things on, but as I said, you've got to enjoy that day and as I said, you're not going to get another chance to do it again. There's no second chances, which I really like, and I think that's a big teacher about life. You don't get second chances in life, so you've got to take it for everything. And I think we did that, and that's how we came on top that day. I think so.
Brilliant. I mean, you know what's great? It's great to sort of listen to the passion and the energy and the enthusiasm that you talk about, you know, those days with. And even though I'm a lot older than you, I still remember, you know, those days of playing schoolboy rugby and school sport. And it's such a fantastic thing to be part of. You mentioned the coaches and you've mentioned Mr. McDonald, who I know very, very well. Great people, you know, really, really great people and have given their all to school rugby. You've also mentioned your fitness and those other bits and pieces. But to play sevens, your skill set has got to be at a certain level, hasn't it? You can't get away with not being able to pass off your left hand in sevens. So you must have worked incredibly hard on the fitness stuff. But talk to us about the skill set that you felt. You know, what was it about your skill set in those moments that, you know, allowed you guys to score those tries and to have those, you know, to win those critical moments?
Yeah, that's a good thing, and I think again that stems back from the training we had because we knew that we had a good skill sets, but every school in the country will have a good skill sets. I mean, you could pass your ball to your brother, your dad, your mum, your auntie, your grandma. Like everyone can do that, and everyone can catch and pass. That's not a skill in itself. The skill itself, as you said, is can you do that under pressure? And the way in which we kind of did that, we would. I got a feeling. I don't know if you guys have been to Wellington recently, but as in the big side pitches, we'd start on big side 5, run around the whole lap. I think it was like 2 times until Mr. McDonald, Mr. Knights will blow that whistle. I remember it fondly. And then we'd go straight into that skill session and then go into game session. Can you perform those under fatigue? That's the only way you'll get better. You can obviously do skills and practice your passing, practice your kicking, practice your drop goal, and you can get that to the most finesse, the crisp way you like it. But however, if you can't perform that under pressure, there's no point in having those skills. So you see the likes of to go back to uni, and you see the likes of George Ford, Finn Smith, Mark Smith, all practicing their kicking out in Girona last week. They're all practicing their kicking, but again, they're doing that to get the tactical side of it and the technical side of it up. But I guarantee the things you won't see is they will be practicing this kicking after doing, let's say, to take it as exaggeration, a Bronco or something like that. So they actually know how it is in a game. And I feel like the way we had those skill sets was literally because we performed them under pressure before. And as I said, practice does make perfect, and I believe that we didn't get to perfect. No one ever gets perfect in life. But I believe that what we did in January in training really replicated games. And I think sometimes you can think, oh yeah, sevens and if you're good at passing, they should go pass the ball. Yes, that's good to practice it if you're struggling with the technique. However, a lot of kids at 18 have good enough technique. The way they're actually going to increase that technique to the next 10% is can you perform that under pressure? Can you do that after doing a Bronco? Can you do that after playing a game of rugby? And that was a big thing. Extras we really enjoyed. We were like, yeah, that session was really tough, but who's gonna actually put their hand up and not just go back to the common room and chill and play some pool with your mates and have a bit of food? Who's actually gonna stay for another 20 minutes and do a bit of passing, do a bit of drop goals? And I think that's what really helped because in that last day, no matter how good your skills are, you're so fatigued. So it's that muscle memory of knowing, actually, I can do this. I know I can. So that gave us a bit of confidence as well. So yeah, I mean, I won't go into the inner details of techniques of passing and kicking because I'm sure there's better people than me who can explain it. But I think to get good of it, yes, get that technical side. But I think if you want to go far in Rosslyn, is all you need to do is go far and really push yourself and take yourself to a further level than you actually will at Rosslyn. Because then, as I said, then you actually know what that feeling will be like. Because I think a lot of teams, like I do genuinely believe Millfield, and I'm not calling out any names here, but I genuinely believe, I know Mr. Mallet was coaching that day. It's like, were they coached to perform under that pressure? And we will say, as Welly boys, I know obviously it's huge conflict there and a good rivalry there, but we don't think they were, because if they were, they wouldn't have been that fatigued. I really thought they were blown out that day, and they were, as I said, a much higher technical side to us. They're the likes of Sam Harris and there, Ryan Davies, who are all doing very well in their respective clubs. I genuinely believe skill set man to man, they're the better team. But for us, we practice those skills under pressure, and we knew how to do that on that last day. So yeah, I think that's a great point. Because yeah, what do you guys see in when you guys watch these Rosin games now? Like, do you still see teams with star players, or do you and they carry the team? So I don't believe that is the case. I still believe that you need to have that 12-man team and everyone at the same fitness. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think if you had the likes of like a Henry Pollock in the team, do you think that's going to carry your side to final, or do you think you need that 12-man team and you need everyone to play their part? What's your guys' thoughts?
It's a good question. I don't mind it. I don't mind you batting a question back to us there either. But yeah, I think what you say makes a lot of sense. You need that aerobic capacity, don't you? You need that anaerobic fitness, that aerobic fitness to be able to execute. We've all been in a rugby game when we've been blown out of every hole, and you're struggling to pass the ball correctly, or you're thinking about your fitness rather than catching the ball in a good position and the sidestep that might be coming up. Definitely. I think star quality, there's no substitute for pace, is there? Let's be honest. If you've got a genuine flyer, and we'll see that all week at all the age groups, if you've got somebody who's absolute wheels, that is going to be, something that will take everybody's breath away. And it'll be a case of, look, can we get that ball to that person as many times? But then you're asking them to do multiple 40, 50-yard reps as well, aren't you? So have they got that in the tank? Do they
Yeah.
score and then they have to be substituted straight away? Because one try is not going to win it for you. You're probably going to have to double down and score 2, 3 tries. Phil, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a combination of everything, isn't it? You've got to have a squad of 18 that carry you to Rosslyn Park. You've got to have competition for places to get into that 12, because that's what creates the environment where you drive each other that Murdoch, describes. I think you
Mm.
do have to have a skill set. I think you've got to have a certain amount of skill set to be able to play the sevens that you want to play. You've got to be able to have somebody who can restart. You've got to have somebody who can catch properly at restarts and regather. You've got to all be technically sound when you're tackling. Your rucking's got to be technically sound. You've got to look after the ball properly in contact. I do think you have to have a little bit of luck, but I think the harder you work, the luckier you get when it comes to sevens. I think the recovery strategy is absolutely paramount. But I do believe that, if you've got 11 workhorses and a star player, you've got a better chance sometimes.
Y-
The danger is that you look for that star player. And the other thing I think for the opposition is how much can you keep the ball away from that player who's going to damage you. Keeping the ball in possession and, kicking long right if he's on the right wing for them, kick to the other side. We used to have a strategy that we would identify which, who was their worst kickoff receipt person to kick to, who couldn't pass off their left hand. So we would
Yeah.
kick to that person, and we'd normally kick long and right or high and right because most people couldn't pass off their left to right hand, particularly at the earlier ages. And as you said, Murdoch, just putting them under as much pressure as possible. So I guess
Mm.
what I've done there is I've encapsulated, you've got to have the physical capabilities to play the game, intensity. You've got to have the tactical nous to make good
Mm.
decisions under pressure. You've got to be able to have the technical skills to be able to do it. But, for me, I think mentality and mindset is probably the key thing. And it's interesting to hear you talk, Murdoch, between games. Yes, the
Mm.
recovery strategies and all of those bits and pieces, but the mindset and the will and the want to believe in yourself and to get up and go again. It's really easy to just sit on the floor and do the wrong things, but how many people have got the mindset to do the right thing all the time? And that comes from the culture that's been driven by your members of staff,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah. Yeah, and I think
There's a lot to it. It's not easy, I think winning Rosslyn Park is bloody tough, so to get all those elements right, and a little bit of luck, that's the the sprinkling of success for me.
Sorry, Murdoch, I'm going to dive in. Sorry, mate. I'm going to dive in there because Phil's led into a good question there, which I wanted to ask. We think, Phil and I have had this conversation away from the pod, and we've had this conversation with a lot of people. We think from a coaching perspective, Rosslyn Park's probably the hardest thing to win. And I actually think the under-16 tournament is the hardest thing to win. Don't get me wrong, that under-18 cup is unbelievable, but the under-16 one with nearly 260 schools in it, it's not divided out. It's just a mad 2 days. I'm going to big you up here now, and your head might explode in the car, so be careful. You won the under-15 Schools Cup, didn't you? Right, and you got man of the match at Twickenham. I remember that really, really well. Yeah, that was good. You've won the under-18 Rosslyn Park Cup. You've played in a under-18 Six Nations for Scotland, under-20 Six Nations for Scotland as well. You got scrum half at the tournament for the under-18 one. You were named in the player of the tournament, weren't you? The team of the tournament, sorry. For that. And you were the 9 for that. Yeah. And would you say winning the under-18 Rosslyn Park out of all those things was the hardest thing to do and the thing you're most proud of?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because 100. I would actually put it up there with being one of the most proud things I've done, in the sense of you're playing with your best mates as well. Like, I think that you forget, like, you're not going to get a better group of mates than playing after school. And I do believe that school rugby is the best thing. No, it's not the highest level you go, as everyone knows, but I do believe it's the most fun and the most enjoyment you'll have. But yeah, I think it's one of the proudest things I have done, because it's one of those, and the hardest things I've done, because you can go to I remember going to when we did the Six Nations of Scotland, and it was in Marcoussis in France, where the French national team train, and we played Italy, England, and France. And yeah, you're playing against some fantastic players you see getting international honours now, but there's so much recovery in those processes. You have such long layoffs within those tournaments, and you're looked after so much. Whereas in schoolboy, it's very isolated. You're very alienated. There's no one really looking after you. You're out for yourself. Like, if you don't do that recovery, then you're not just letting yourself down. You're letting the team down. Whereas in these professional environments, whether it be at Bath, whether it be in the Scotland environments, it's not you're letting yourself down. If you don't do it, you're not playing. So I think that's the biggest thing as well, which I'm most proud of. Everyone actually went out their way to do it. No one had to turn up in January. No one had to turn up in February. It's all we all wanted to. We all came back. There's no thing with Rosslyn. There's no end goal. You don't know what you can do after school, whether that be university, whether that's straight into work, or whether that playing rugby. I think that just shows that Roslyn's such a special thing. Everyone's there for one reason. They're for you, and they're there to win it. Whereas I think, to sum up really, I think when you go to these academies, and what you can achieve, whether that playing in France, Italy, or wherever that may have been, what I've done, I still think nothing will top Roslyn, because as I said, you're there for a reason, and not for a purpose to achieve more in the game. Because when you're playing for the academies, you're there to, how many games can I get for first team? Whereas Roslyn is one goal. I want to win that tournament, and I want to tell people years to go, I want to be on that silverware. I want to have that T-shirt and won it. So I'd say, yeah, that is probably one of the proudest things that I have done, because everyone was there to win it, and no one was there to be, oh yeah, look at me, I'm going to achieve better things than you. And we had some players in that team who have achieved a lot after it, but no one cared about that. No one was like, oh yeah, I can't play today because my academy told me not to. And that's one thing I will mention on this as well. I thought was a good point. I think that if some kids now are listening to this, I think if your academies are telling you not to play in Roslyn, to save yourself for 3 weeks, I do genuinely believe to go play, because you won't get that time back, and you never know what's going to happen in your career. And I guarantee you won't get those memories you get on those 2 days that you will in an academy system. But never say no to going to Roslyn, because I guarantee it'll be one of your proudest days, no matter how far you go. Because whenever you're sitting in uni hall, or your uni living room, everyone knows where they came that day. Everyone knows what they're doing that day. Whereas who knows where you were for doing a Quins pre-season? Don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal achievement in itself, but I guarantee that's the one thing you are going to remember in your last year of school. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
mate. Listen, I can testify to that hugely. I'm actually going skiing on Friday with 10 boys who I played schoolboy rugby with from 30 odd years ago, and some of those lads chose to play for the school in a school's game over playing for England at Twickenham under 18s, and That was the camaraderie that we had within the school that, you
Yeah.
know, I'd much rather play with all my mates and to hell and back together, some of the training sessions we were doing and I think that that can't be underestimated. And yeah, you'll go on and you'll play whatever rugby you'll play, but you'll never get to play with that group of players ever again at school. And lots of those boys will have been together since they were, under 14s or, under 12s in some regards. So,
Yeah.
mate, I'm a big fan of what you've just said. I think we need to allow these kids to play for their schools and play with their mates one last time and look at the bigger picture and what it means to them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because as I said, it's that thing you can't get back, and I do believe it's if you do go that day, you're gonna have no regrets because it's a big social thing, and I think we'll delve into that point is where sevens is one of those things which needs to be expanded the game because you see schools like, for example, Cranley School, even though I don't think they were allowed to, the upper six and lower six all came down to watch. And it's little things like that. I know Cranley's a big one on that, and you see that every year. But I mean, they're all down, and that's the thing. It's the atmosphere you get down there, and where it should be supported, it should be invested more in the game because I guarantee you, if you're not a big rugby fan, you'll come down to let's say moving on to like a London Sevens, which is unfortunately isn't on. You get up in your fancy dress and you come down as that almost as that tag along. But again, you're going to go back with such fond memories, and I think it's where Sevens has the opportunity now, where you have a tournament like Rosslyn, where it's massive, but where's the follow up tournament? Like, why is there not a tournament for let's say I don't know old schoolboys? Like, why is there not a tournament for? Can you put some mates in a tournament like that? Can you create a team yourselves? And because I do believe you look at stuff like a franchise like the 100, and that's reinvigorated cricket. And I went to the final. I think it was in 2024, I want to say, and I was actually with a fellow mate, James Lloyd, who actually won the Roslyn with me as well, which was nice. But we were both saying you're not really watching the cricket; you're having a good time socialising. But that's the thing. Sevens has that opportunity to do that, and I think there needs to be more investment in that because you see at schoolboy how loved this tournament is. Why can't we replicate that through the calendar year? Why can't we have a tournament for, let's say, under 23s? Why can't we have a vets tournament like that? Because I guarantee it will bring so many more people together, and it's that social aspect in life which comes down to everyone wants to be social and everyone wants to be together. Why can't we create a day which brings everyone together? Because there's always an excuse where I know, example, if I meet Russell, like we both say, I can't do this, I'm doing something or I'm busy. But then why can't we put something in the calendar year where everyone can go? So I'm not just seeing Russell, I'm seeing yourself, Phil, as well. I don't understand why we can't do that. And I know a lot of we're going to the financial details about it, but I know there is room for it because you see Hong Kong sevens. I mean, that was one of my dreams to go watch, and I sadly don't think it is what it is now because a few teams have pulled out, like Irish sevens team. They've got lack of investment now. The GB sevens team isn't really around. I know USA is struggling, and it's just like, why is that the case when in the early 2010s it was flying like the likes of Tom Mitchell and those boys and Dan Bibby and then they should be respecting more of these players because what they've done for the game is huge. And why have we lost that? And I think Roslyn hopefully is going to reinvigorate it and because it's still going strong. But I do believe that Roslyn shouldn't be the final say. We shouldn't be having this conversation in 10 years' time and seeing like how fond the memories you had of Roslyn. It should be, oh, I've got this tournament coming up, this huge tournament where everyone's going to come down and you get that camaraderie again. Because I do believe there's that huge gap and definitely there's room for growth there, and as I said, it's good that Roslyn's still staying strong and people are still talking about it fondly. And it's kind of I would say it's a more inclusive game than Union because no matter if you're small, you're big, you can all be out there, and no matter if you can't play, why can't you get involved with the training and enjoy it that way and have that healthy lifestyle with it as well? So yeah, I think that I know I've kind of gone off tangent there, but I just wanted to say, yeah, I think hopefully if anyone is listening, it's there's definitely some sort of idea which needs to come into place. I think post school and even for you guys, why can't there be a vet league and run out with your mates or a league like that of where every year, once a year, there's a huge tournament because it will just bring everyone together, and I think that's what everyone loves. And I think Roslyn does bring that because I mean, I'm excited to go down this year because you go down, whether that be by yourself or a friend or your mum or your dad or your cousins or I don't know, anyone, you could easily go down by yourself because you know you're going to bump into people you haven't seen for years. But again, you get that connection and you have that social aspect with it as well. And I think that's a huge thing about Roslyn as well. Not just for the kids who are playing there, but the old boys coming down or people like yourselves who are going to commentate this year. It's having that nostalgia of, oh, yeah, that was a great thing. But I'm so happy to be back because I get to reconnect with the friendships I made and relationships I made, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think nobody wants to watch us play sevens. I know that much. So the vets thing, we might have to put on the back burner.
But
But I like
yeah,
the
that's
idea
right.
of the old boys and old girls ones. That could be an absolute banger, couldn't it? What a
Yeah,
tournament that would be! Imagine
yeah,
that
for
one
sure.
there. Be
Yeah,
unbelievable. And
100%.
the old boys football league is going very, very strong, and that is something that players commit to. They play every Saturday. But yeah, a little Rosslyn Park old boys. We might have cracked onto something there. Watch this space. But Murdoch, you've been absolutely sensational, mate. I know you've probably got some online lectures, or you've got some essays to write, or you're probably going to be using ChatGPT to write the essay for you. I don't know, but
No comment, no comment.
it's great to speak to you. It's great
Yeah,
to
yeah.
speak to you about sevens. I know. Listen, I know you personally. I know you really, really well, and you always speak so passionately about Rosslyn Park sevens, and that's come through in that. So we really, really do appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
No worries. No, I appreciate your guys' time, and yeah, I look forward to everyone down there. And yeah, as I said, like I think if people are preparing for Roslyn now, make sure you do prepare now, because it's not one of those tournaments where you can just rock up the week before and be like, lads, we've got this tournament coming up. I think prepare now, and hopefully, I know it's a bit passionate for me and a bit historic, but hopefully Wellington come out with all 3 wins in the boys and the girls competitions. I'm sure they will. Hopefully, the legacy lives on strong.
No bias from you there whatsoever, Murdoch.
No, no bias. No, not
Murdoch,
at all.
thank you so much, my man. Listen, we've been little and large. We've been again the road to Rosslyn Park. There's plenty happening around the sevens team now, so get yourselves out there, watching some sevens. We are delighted and so excited to be there that week with Sox TV aiming to cover every pitch. RE1 and RE2 will be commentated on, but we will trying to have a live stream across every pitch. So no matter what pitch you're on, you'll be able to be seen. So it promises to be a fantastic week, and it promises to be a fantastic week for somebody like Murdoch, who's that side of me, and
Yeah.
they'll get a win. But it's not all about the winning, as Murdoch said. It's about the taking part. It's about being down there. So get yourself down there for that week. Come and have a chat with us and come and hang out. It's such a great week. Like, subscribe to the pod, share it far and wide. We know that Murdoch's going to share this as far and wide as he possibly can with all his Welly Old Boys network. Hopefully they won't be giving him a tough time, because he's been fantastic. Catch up next time, guys. Have a great weekend. Cheers.